Welcome back, everyone, to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast. This time we are going to have a... okay, hold on a second. We're going to have a 4v4 on this glorious map, Essence Steelworks. It is sent in by... Where is he? Galleon Squad 422. He is going to be playing as the Americans, and yeah, of course, spawning on the right side. His friends are going to be Mr. Papaya 26, Ruben Gray, and Flamer 927, all playing as the Soviets. By the way, I am trying out a new method, quote unquote, of just listening to the audio because it's getting hot, it's summer, so keeping my headphones on is just not feasible while casting Company of Heroes 2. I'm just too old for all this. So if you hear a little bit of like double echo, I am sorry. I will try to fix this as much as possible. In fact, I will already try to do so. Anyway, as I'm trying to do that, it seems like some Sturm Pioneers are animating the hell out of these rear echelons, so that's not good. It's not good for them. The Germans are Emrimu, who's the OKW and has already picked Elite Armor. Kim Jong-un, yes, I love it. Playing as the Wehrmacht, then Oberst John with some Sturm Pioneers, Jon Snow, and then Sarambalas, who is also Wehrmacht. So 2 Wehrmachts and 2 OKW versus 3 Soviets and an American. Well, it's not going well for said American right about now, although lots of riflemen firing out of this building means lots of damage on these Sturm Pioneers. Then here comes some support, a Maxim whose team is just holding back for no reason, but yeah, that means that all of these Sturm Pios have to run away. They're gonna get kind of replaced by these Volksgrenadiers and this machine gun team who is trying to get into the building, but it's not going to work as the riflemen approach in and manage to kind of kindly tell them to get the hell out. Of course, it's not really definitive as more German forces in here are ready to support. And this fight looks like it's going to be very, very difficult and very, very grindy. But what's good for the Allies is this mortar over here. These 2 mortars, in fact, that Papaya is going for. These will allow a nice bit of indirect fire on the Nazi machine gun emplacement. And as you can see, already it is down. Well done, well done. Although right now it seems like the ambulance is in trouble. Kim Jong-un is not happy about his machine gun being destroyed that way. In the left, it seems like the Germans are faring a little bit better as we have a nice push from these Sturm Pioneers. Looks like they've been kind of the linchpin of the German push, although they are sort of loyally followed by these Grenadiers, and the Grenadiers plus the Sturms have managed to push the Allies back almost to the base, but without capturing any of the actual points except the fuel, which is guarded by an MG42 or 2. The left side, the extreme left side, is still Allied, in fact. So not that great for the Nazis, although it is pretty okay for them. So overall, it seems like the Allies have been pushed back a little bit from both ends of the map, which is not exactly what they were hoping, I don't think. In terms of taking choices, we have that Flamer 927 has the Super Weapons Campania, but his friend over here is going for some Penals, so that is, of course, going a little bit better for him in terms of the infantry fights, but yeah, he does not have a machine gun to hold there, and his poor engineers get wiped. In the meantime, as you can see, the Penals from his friend, plus probably the help of this Maxim, and also now a sniper that is on the field, will be good in sort of reclaiming this left side from the German menace. In terms of the Allies on the right, we have, of course, the Tier 2 for the Soviets, for Mr. Papaya 26 with the mortars, and then Lieutenant from Galleon Squad, and of course an early ambulance. The early ambulance is important because it's going to allow the Allies to have a lot more of a field presence because they can just reinforce on the field with the ambulance, heal up as required, and of course the ambulance is also a great support to the mortars because the German mortar will be trying to counteract the Allied mortars, of course, but the Allied mortars, if they eat mortar rounds, they can just go back to the ambulance and reinforce and just outlast the German mortar by, just reinforcing. And that's, of course, quite good. Of course, Will that be enough to really push back these Germans? Maybe, maybe not. Because as you can see, we do already have that Kim Jong-un is defending his right side of the map like the DMZ, and he's just not allowing any GIs or any Frantaviki into, you know, the central area of the sort of plaza with the fuel point. So it's not good for the Allies. And the Germans are actually triple capping them, so the Allies are already down to 400. Not the best, not the best. Ooh, Scout Sniper. Scout Sniper. Penal Battalion's coming in. That's the third one from Rubengray. Not exactly the most amazing thing if he's gonna get, like, I don't know, vehicled. Of course, he could just upgrade PTRSs, but we'll see. Rubengray has actually picked armored assault tactics. So that is a lot of late game potential for him, and also it gives him the radio intercept for now. So he's gonna have a little bit more of a, I guess, early advantage in knowing if something like this was coming. Of course, he's not really prepared anyway. Luke's right now basically has a free reign over these Allied troops. He doesn't even care if these guys are upgrading the PTRSs right about now. He just charges in there and breaks up these formations, you know, tries to kill the machine gun. Of course, it's going to take a while because it's Luke's. Luke's does not do the most damage to enemy units that are garrisoned, so it's fine, I guess. And now he's going to chase down these penals and actually might wipe them because they're a little tight. They're a little tight, they're a little bounced up, and I mean, they're probably just going to survive, but not the best, not the best. Is there any anti-tank coming through? Well, we do have a second sniper that's definitely not anti-tank. No AT guns coming out of Flamer Gray. Sorry, not Flamer Gray. Flamer 927. Ruben Gray is not getting anything except snipers. Mr. Papaya is not getting any AT guns. And the only AT that is on the field are anti-tank grenades from Galleon Squad's riflemen. Speaking of Galleon Squad and his friend over here, they've been slowly but surely picking at the German defenses on the right, and now it seems like the Nazis on this side have been forced to mostly retreat. Of course, they do have a flak half-track, which means a battle group headquarters for Emrimu, which is in a relatively safe position, so it's not going to be easy for our American and Soviet players to dislodge him. And as you can see, the half-track was in danger of getting anti-tank grenaded. It does get anti-tank grenaded, although in time it manages to pop the smoke just in case there was anything else in lurking nearby. Kim Jong-un has gone for a scout car, but he's floating 150 fuel, and he's only picked Battle Phase 1, of course, for the Tier 2, so he hasn't really committed to anything. Here comes a flak half-track of the Americans' zone, so he's going to try to emancipate himself from the dangers of flak half-tracks of the Nazi variety. Of course, flak half-track of the Americans usually in a one-on-one will take out the German one. The problem is the German one does not have to, you know, be facing backwards to shoot at anything, and the scout car is admirably demonstrating the weakness of the American half-track. Nice usage of the Raketenwerfer plus the armored car doing exactly what it was supposed to and getting into the front of the half-track where it can fire back with its autocannon. Well done to Kim Jong-un, jumping out of the nowhere like a gorilla from Kim Il-sung's battalions. And so that's pretty good for him. Now, Emrimu needs to repair his half-track, and the 222 needs to be repaired. What is Emrimu building? He is building another truck, so that means that he is going for the Schwer Panzer headquarters with 160 fuel in the back. He can, you know, get some kind of vehicles out soon, and despite the fact that the Germans have lost the fuel point, they have inflicted some losses over the Allies, so I guess they haven't really lost as hard as they could have. You know, taking back some of the loss from that situation. Nicely also pushing in. Saren is able to take out that machine gun, so that means that the Axis can now recapture the left-hand side. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Axis, I would say, still ahead in this game. Let's see the left-hand side Axis. What are they doing? We have a heavy Panzer Corps coming up for Saren. So, of course, with 127 fuel, he can get out of Brumberg very quickly, actually. Oberst John has a battle group headquarters in the base and not much else, so yeah, nothing really too spectacular out of him. He has, however, picked Fallschirmjägers, and now he's going to try to get behind the Allied lines and do some commando work, although Fallschirmjägers, I mean, they're always a little bit of a gamble, because as you can see, even just in the fight with these engineers, 2 of them died. It's like, yeah, you took out that machine gun crew, but they can just recrew it, you know? And you've lost half of a Fallschirmjäger squad, and these guys are expensive, like 40 something manpower to reinforce. Don't remember the exact count, but yeah, they're expensive. Don't want to lose them. Bad. AT gun finally on the field for the Allies. On the left side, what do we have? We have a T-70 and some Pinos with PTRSs. What happened to the Lukes is what I want to know. That's, of course, not the Lukes player. Oberst John, your Lukes. What happened to it? It is dead. What the hell happened to it? Looks like it hit a mine? There is a Pino guy, so probably it was that he ran way too close. This is not a place with a lot of line of sight, so most likely he just ran way too close to these guys with the satchel charges. Sad. Right side still theater of a little bit of action. However, it seems to have kind of slowed down as Kim Jong-un is trying to take the extreme right, but the Axis have not really dented the Allied control over this fuel point. So that's okay for them. Another flak half-track actually on the field for Galleon Squad. Not exactly sure that this is the best idea. I myself would have gone for something a little bit later game. Sorry for the sneeze. Needed to blow my nose. Anyway, Flamer 97, not 97, 927 actually went tank hunters. So I guess they're relying on him to keep the Axis armor at bay. And as you can see, he's you know, trying to do that on the left, also with some mines, although they were discovered by these Sternpiles with minesweepers, so that's pretty okay. Folks Grenadiers doing their job, I guess. They're gonna come in and flame grenade, I'm guessing. Yeah, well, they just got out. Still going relatively okay for the Allies on the left, but they're gonna lose a... What? Why did he just retreat there? He could have not done that. Still doing their job on the right side. And now there's an Obersulan squad for Mrimu. But we still do not know what he wants to do with his fuel in Tier 4 in terms of vehicles, of course. So we'll see, we'll see. If he continues to go down a lot of infantry, then the purchase of the flak from Galleon Squad will be much more justified. Of course, the flak died again. Looks like there's some Panzerfaust work by these Grenadiers. They do not have a kill, but most likely that was what happened. And yeah, again, now the Allies have a little bit more of an anti-tank, but they have been wasting kind of their vehicles, or rather, Galleon Squad has been wasting his vehicles. And his Soviet friend over here, Mr. Papaya, has a lot of fuel in the bank because he has gone with a lot of infantry, very soft, fleshy concentration of force. Wow, that was a grenade. Again, a very, very soft composition, with lots of infantry and lots of weapons, but no armor yet. So he's gonna essentially need to wait for a little bit while longer to get some armor out. In fact, what he might be trying to do is go for Tier 4 and get himself some Su-85s, which you do not need to exactly rush. I don't know. Maybe Su-85 and Katyusha combination might be in store for the Soviets on the right. Another grenade, this time on the mortars, does a lot of damage also to the MG, but it does not actually wipe anyone. The MG can just kind of walk back to the ambulance and get himself reinforced. Ambulance, as I said, has been instrumental in keeping the Allied forces alive on the right side. I wish that you could see, like, instead of the kills here, I wish that you could see, although, yeah, right, it can't even run people over. I wish that you could see, like, how many reinforcements it has provided. I feel like that would be pretty good. If we take a look at the overall situation, we can see that we have like the center that's being sort of overrun by the Nazis, but the flanks are sort of still controlled by the Allies. The left-hand side a little bit less sturdily than the right-hand side, but the right-hand side still has a lot of problems. And so, I mean, the difference, if it's there, it's not that big. 222 is dead, unfortunately. Here comes a Panther, though, from Emrimu, and that's, I feel like, kind of a decent decision because, of course, he is elite armor, so he has heat rounds, which synergize pretty well with the Panther, and he's also got the Sturm Tiger, which goes pretty well with the Panther because you're gonna lose your structure now. Okay, good. Because you know the Panther takes care of the tanks and guards the Sturm Tiger from the tanks, but then the Sturm Tiger comes around and kabloom on the infantry and the AT guns. That's the idea, at least. Looks like a PTRS was stolen by these Sturm Pios. Oh boy, here comes the T-3485 straight out of the corner, straight out of Compton. Crazy ass nigga called Dimitri, and he has absolutely wiped out one of those Volksgrenadier squads. Now he's also gonna, you know, get some fire down on that Sturm Pioneer who's running away. So T-3485 on the left from Ruben Gray means that there's also another vehicle that's approaching. Oh no, that's a T-70 that's waiting to get repaired. So T-3485 means that the assault, sorry, not assault, armored assault is, you know, officially in the late game. So that's bad news for the Axis, because if you take a look at the overall situation right now, I feel like that's a good place to stop because we have a lot of purchases coming in. What we have is that the Allies, we have Flamer 927, who has, of course, the tank hunters, so he's going to be a lot more effective at the... and yes, I'm pouring on myself some water because otherwise I'm going to, you know, just die at first. Dehydration is difficult to deal with. So he's got the mechanized armor company. He can get out T-34s and probably whatchamacallits, Katyusha. And then he's got, you know, if he's got more ammunition, he can get P-tabs and he can get those howitzers. So he's a bit of a support player all around. He's utility with the PTRSs and the stun mines. So he can kind of help out anywhere. And hold some positions. Then we have Ruben Gray, who's going to be, again, armored assault. Very nice punching power with the S2 and T-3485s in the late game. And then Il-2 Sturmovik attacks can clear out anti-tank guns, Raketenwerfers, all that you want. Mr. Papaya actually went with terror tactics, although, you know, he's only used shock troops so far, but he, again, can use the fear propaganda to deal with anti-tank guns. When the armor is pushing in, he can get a heavy flamethrower tank that can also help out with the infantry. He can also get the ML-20 gun howitzers, and he's got the precision bombing. However, he hasn't really advanced that far down his teching. He does not have Campania, and he's got 308 fuel in the bank, so he's still got his options very much open. Hasn't reached his full potential yet. Whereas Galleon Squad, with the infantry company, he's got the Glorious Priest. So there's quite a bit of artillery that the Allies can go for. And that's gonna, I feel like, be very important because there's 2 OKWs, so you can really ruin their day and bomb their trucks. And that's not gonna be good for them. But Galleon Squad at the same time has the problem that he has wasted a lot of fuel. In fact, 100, yes, right. I totally knew that. 100 fuel on 2 flaks. So that means that essentially with the current income of 35 per minute, about 3 minutes of fuel income wasted on 2 units did not do much. And in the early to mid game, 3 minutes are a lot because guess what? This has allowed the Axis to go for a Panther while Galleon Squad can't get his Jackson out yet, which is exactly 1 minute of fuel away, plus, you know, around another minute of build time. I don't actually know the build time of the Jackson, and, you know, another minute of build time away, so you can more or less fit that in. If you had not gone for those 2 flaks, he would right now have a Jackson to counter the Panther, which he does not. Of course, it's not like the Panther can really do too much, because there's really not much for it to kill. I mean, there's anti-tank guns and infantry. So on the Axis side, let's resume this. We have Mrimu with the Panther and the Elite Armor, so he's gonna be very, very useful in both. Well, he's gonna be versatile later on, and as soon as he gets 11 CPs, he's gonna be a lot more dangerous on his side, because we have that Mr. Papaya is focused so heavily on support weapons, you know, 18 guns, machine guns, blah, 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 that Storm Tiger is going to be a very, very, very dangerous unit for him to deal with. Nice mine. And right now, this is a problem. We have an airstrike coming in. Actually, no, that's a light artillery barrage. That's actually exploding the mines. But still, though, with the support of this Panzer IV from Kim Jong-un, the Axis have been able to sort of pierce the Allied defense, and it's great when you can do that, because when you have a sort of fixed defense and you really pierce it, then, well, you really disrupt what the enemy players can do, because if you're kind of sitting behind your defense, that's all fine, but if they get behind it, then you have to change all your support weapons, where they're going, you know, they're behind you, you don't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. At that point, you're just worthless, and you're having to run away. So that has allowed the Axis to not only push up and reclaim the fuel, so a territorial win. They've also managed to destroy one of those anti-tank guns. They are destroying a lot of crews and units. They might get to steal this machine gun if they're enterprising enough. And they've also managed to, again, push back what the Allies had. And actually, Galleon Squad went for a Sherman instead of a Jackson, so this actually means that the Panther will have a field day with Sherman, but right now the Panzer IV is the one that's having problems. Luckily for it, it was so unexpected to, you know, for the Panzer IV to come in. Oh, that's going to be another nasty barrage. It was so unexpected for the P4 to come in and be, you know, so aggressive that Sherman didn't have its armor piercing loaded. It had its HE. So, of course, it didn't really do too much. Meantime, we have some, you know, propaganda artillery that basically saved the Allies, because it made these grenadiers and such retreat, while the howitzer, sorry, not howitzer, the light artillery almost ended the career of that ambulance. Still, though, you can see from the amount of Allied bodies that are strewn about the place that this has not been a happy engagement for them. However, on the left, it seems like the tables are completely different. Completely turned, and oh boy, I do like seeing that. That is not well, actually, it used to be a great idea, because then you don't have to. Okay, so what this guy just did is that he combined with a mine with a demo charge. What that usually meant was that, you know, the guy comes in, steps on the mine, and detonates the demo charge as well, so you don't have to, quote-unquote, remember to detonate it. However, what might be the problem here might be that, of course, the demo charges can be spotted from relatively far away. So it is kind of likely, I think, that that's going to mean that you're going to waste both the demo charge and the mine without doing anything. Oh, well, though. We have a lot of T-34s, 3 of them. 2 of them are the 85s. Lots of mines coming down. And right now, what is opposing them? Well, we have a couple of squads and a Panther from Seren and a Panther from Oberst John with, again, a couple of squads. So it seems like the Allies have local superiority when it comes to just number of units, if only slightly. And they are controlling the territory in the area, so that's good for them. Oh crap. These Grenadiers are not having a good day. One squad wiped out, second squad almost wiped out. In the meantime, the Panthers are trying to move in against the 85s, but they're moving in a little bit too close to these conscripts, who, for some reason, still do not have anti-tank grenades. That is very, very nasty. We have a satchel charge, I think? Yeah, satchel charge destroyed the engine of this guy. Fragmentation bombing went down here. I think that was, yes, that was fragmentation bombing. Went down, kind of forced a couple of infantry squads to run away. But despite the engine damage on this Panther, the Allies were not able to really press that advantage home. And it could have been a lot worse for the Germans, considering what went down, but it was not that big of a loss for them in the end. Meantime, on the right, we have a big fight coming in, and some Grenadiers are trying to push in, but also not having a lot of luck and being essentially told to go home. The Axis still have not managed to deal with these Allied support weapons, which is, to be honest, kind of surprising. We have a big artillery gun coming in. That's from... That's a priest. Yes, it is a priest. So priest on the field. And honestly, considering, again, the playstyle of Papaya guy, or Mr. Papaya, with, you know, Maxims, anti-tank guns, all the likes, it's interesting that the Axis did not go for either a Stuka or a Panzerwerfer or a LEFH artillery, especially considering that Kim Jong-un is floating 1,200 manpower and 300 fuel, so he could definitely go for something of the sort right now. He's going for a heavy Panzer Corps, which is not a bad decision. Again, he could get himself some multiple rocket launchers, or he could get himself some Panthers. We'll see, we'll see. It is kind of baffling to me, though, that he's not using the fact that he has the LEFH artillery, because it would be so useful right about now for him to just really provide with the extra support against these enemy support weapons. And then once you get to Veteran C1, you can use the counter battery, which is going to be great because there's a lot of things to counter battery over here. Thankfully for the Axis, we do have a very nice flank from Mrimu with these Volksgrenadiers. Managed to silence the anti-tank gun. The Sherman can't do anything against these two Panthers, and so, yeah, they're going to have to escape. Echelon troops trying to kind of put a dent into the Panthers, and that's about all that they can do. Kind of kindly telling them to get the hell out, but if the Panthers really wanted to charge in, they'd do so, you know, without the permission of these rear echelons, definitely. Yet more bazooka fire coming in. Stern Pioneers trying to, you know, apply their glorious STG-44s. And again, left side still allied. Center's being recapped, so the VP situation still kind of where we were leaving off, with 150 around for the Allies and 400 for the Axis. This 2 heavy tank is coming in, however, for Ruben Gray, so this might change the whole balance of power on the left side, which would be pretty good for our allies, actually. Oh boy. Flammenwerfer. Right side also captured by the Allies, but not going to stay that way for long. Finally a Su-85 on the field for Mr. Papaya, who still has 237 fuel in the bank, so that is a lot. Nasty smoke run actually coming in. That is the Obersoldat, no, not the Obersoldat, the Fallschirmjäger, Stuka smoke reconnaissance. Here comes, however, a satchel charge on the Panther with a lot of anti-tank grenade assaults from these anti-tank tactics conscripts. Here comes the big push from a couple of T-34-85s and the IS-2. There is no support, however, coming in from the Su-85, who is still kind of blindsided by the smoke. So this is not going to be a very happy attack by the Soviets, although quite a lot of firepower is used. It's not able to really push the Germans back as much as they hoped, nor they weren't able to bag any of those Panthers or anything like that. Still though, the Soviets demonstrating their superiority on this side of the map with just this mass of steel and treads. They really, really are just kings of the left side. So right now, what they need to do is they need to continue this kind of continue this kind of pressure, because what this is doing is that it's really making sure that the guys on the left can't really come in and help the guys on the right in terms of the Axis, because it's very, very contested on the right side, but it's not on the left. The Allies are winning very, very easily. Well, maybe not very, very easily, but they're winning handily on the left-hand side, pretty clearly. And if it had been a little bit different, then we'd say that we are equal right about now. But since it is kind of equal on the right, and then it is going the Allies' way on the left, well, we see that the Allies have an advantage overall. So if the Axis players on the left were able to send their forces to help out on the right side, then this would be a lot more in the balance, because we'd have a German right side and an Allied left side. But since the Allies are putting up so much pressure on the left-hand side, this is not possible for now. However, it seems like the Germans are doing pretty well on the right. Here comes some help from Flamer. Is that going to be enough? Here comes a ram. That might not be the best idea, though, because he's got this little house to cover himself. But, yeah, no. No. There's enough line of sight. Oh, no. Oh, the Jackson can't fire anymore because of the smoke. But he's getting flanked around by a lot of allied infantry, so this Panther will most likely die. Here comes the damage engine. You should probably just chase him down with the rifleman. No! Oh no! This rifleman can also use the anti-tank grenade. That's so bad. In the meantime, the other Jackson is trying to sort of fence with this Panther, and it's not working out for him. He's going to try to survive right now. Here comes the other anti-tank grenade. That is the end of the Panther. And in the meantime, there's also the Jackson died, but here comes the cavalry. It is the T-34-85s destroying the Panther, and the East 2 is also going to come in. The Panther right now is actually abandoned, so if these Soviet tanks do not miss and the Allies can recapture this Panther, that would be pretty great. Of course, it will get destroyed by the Kennenwerfer. And now the Allies will again try to force this issue and move in. Another Panther moves in way too close and eats a massive amount of anti-tank grenades, plus, you know, a lot of firepower coming in from the Soviet tanks. So this is, of course, going to be a nasty shock to the German Panzerwaffe. We do have that Kim Jong-un still has his tanks. We still have the Brummbär. There's still one Panther on the field for Cerimbalas. But the Allies lost far less. They lost a Sherman, a sorry, not a T-34, well, yes, a T-34, a Su-85, and a Jackson. Of those, the main losses are the Jackson and the Su-85. But the main Soviet and American armored force, that is to say the IS-2 and the T-34-85s, is still alive and kicking. And right now, it seems like the Germans are really overstepping their welcome. They're pushing in very, very far. I mean, they've got the support of a lot of things. Actually, a second wave of Panthers is coming in. But I don't think that they can really force through this Allied defense over here. And yeah, here comes a flank from the conscripts with the anti-tank grenades. Anti-tank grenade assault's gonna go down on the rear ass of the Panther and completely annihilate it with, you know, masses of grenades. That it was well done, of course, by Flamer, utilizing that amazing little upgrade that he can get from the PTRS package. So after this engagement, we stand at the fact that the Germans have lost, well, 1, 2, 3. Maybe 4, definitely 3, but maybe 4 Panthers. I haven't exactly counted too correctly. And what they also lost essentially was the initiative. I mean, like, they're not in a position anymore where they can dictate where and when to fight, because with the loss of their main mobile armor force, look at this. Like, we have Emrimu with 1 Panther and a lot of infantry. We have Cerimbalas with a Panzerwerfer and some infantry. We have Kim Jong-un with a Panzer IV and a Brummbär, so he's like the only one that has something left. And then we have Oberst John with not much. These people do not really have that much offensive capability. Whereas we look at the Allies, we have, you know, KV-8, T-34s and conscripts. We have, well, I mean, Galleon Squad is more defensive. And then Rumagray with the glorious little armor squadron. So we have around 3 players capable of doing independently or not an offensive. And then on the German side, we only have 1 player able to do that. Nasty artillery barrage. That was from, yeah, time on target. Tiger. Really now, Cerimbalas decides to pick Spearhead and go for a Tiger. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure at this point. Wow, it's 2 misses. Ooh, big push on the left from a couple of Grenadiers. Which how they ever do. And this is pretty good for the T-70. I mean, it's also pretty good for Flamer that has kept the T-70 alive all this entire time. And right now, as you can see, the Tiger alone is not really able to stand up to what the Soviets are fielding. And oh my god, this is just such a nasty force. How can the Germans deal with this? Well, if they really suicide into the enemy, here comes the ram, but there's nothing to follow up on this. That was a bit of a mistake. However, this has... What the hell? I have no idea. This has spotted what was going on there. PTAB bombing run destroys the Panzer IV, and the, you know, Pak 43 that was being built is cancelled. So pretty good there. And the Tiger barely survives. So with 95 points, the Allies are now gonna once again neutralize the VP game. And probably they can push on the Schwer Panzer quarters. Let's look at the forces that are around. We have, you know, one Panther for the Germans and a few infantry squads versus all of the armor. And here comes some airstrikes. That was actually the Ilzusturmweg attack. So if the Allies push right now, they can really pile in the hurt and put on the pressure. But they might be dissuaded, especially if this Pack 43 is constructed. Then, you know, it's not, the opportunity is going to slip away, which would be very, very sad. Did try to get the smoke to cover the Fallschirmjägers, but didn't really work out. Panzerwerfer, come on, what you gonna do? Show me what you have. Not much. Right side, completely galleon squads. Completely under the control of galleon squad. Here comes a priest. Come on, priest. Priest looks like it's firing at the, yeah, Schwer Panzer quarters. It's only hitting the little puddle. Oh, damn. And you can see the change in like how the map looks right now. Before it used to be that the Allies had, you know, Bastion on the right, Bastion on the left, and then a bulge in the center of Germany. Now there's still a bit of a bulge in the center of Germany, except it's, you know, pushed back essentially half a map. And so it's not looking all that great for the Nazis. Let's see what the Allies are going for overall. Well, Papaya still has a lot of fuel that he can work with. I'm not sure what he wants to do with it. If I were him, I'd just spam a whole bunch of Katyusha. We have Jacksons coming for Galleon Squad, which is, of course, a great decision. Then we have, of course, the big squadron from Ruben Gray, and then Flamer 927 just kind of trying to support his allies. So that's pretty good, although, again, if the Allies were using their resources, not just the Allies, especially Mr. Papaya, were using their resources to the fullest, right now there wouldn't be that much question as to who will be, you know, coming out on top in the next few engagements, because the Allies would just have so much more in terms of, oh crap. What are you doing? He's having problems. Because, again, the Allies would just have so much more when it comes to, like, how much they can field and how many units they have. It would not be a question. It would not be a challenge. Instead, we're going to be faced with yet another Panther versus Allied tanks showdown. And to be honest with you, I'm not seeing the Panthers coming out on top in terms of this. They've been trying to slug it out frontally with the Allied armor for a long while, and it's not been working. To be honest, the Panthers haven't been really using the advantage of mobility over the S2 and the S2s and the Jacksons in the last few engagements. They've, again, always been trying to frontally engage, which, in my opinion, not exactly the best choice. Nice. And now this is scary. We have the big squadron coming in. This warrants a picture. Look at this shit. It's like the might of the Soviet onion is approaching. Anyway, so right now, what can the Nazis do to counteract this? Again, in my opinion, there's two choices, okay? Because this little concentration of armor can deal with almost anything that they can throw at it, especially if it is supported. So what I would say would need to happen is for these to be lured into some kind of trap, and then the Panthers flank around the tank destroyer. Oh, that's nasty though. Tiger's not in a good way. He just hit the mine, and well, he's lucky that there isn't much on the left for Flamer 927. Otherwise, he'd be in trouble. And as you can see, looks like the demo charge trap was spotted by the Grenadiers. Love the T-70. Still doing his job. And now he's only sending one T-34-85 to the left. He's separating the whole squadron, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. That thing is good because it is a big, dumb, and just, you know, simple fist. Like, you just amass that together and you throw it at something. Of course, he has gotten pretty lucky. You know, the Tiger wasn't very well supported, but what if there was a Panther over here? You know, it wouldn't be that good of a place to be a T-34-85 if you just met a random Panther and you're not without your, or you're without your friends, you know? If you're not with your friends, I don't know, whatever. Burn the Grenadiers. Looks like another armor engagement will sort of erupt on the right side. 3 Panthers destroy a KV-8. And now, actually, the little Jackson is in trouble because of its engine damage. It is saved by the fact that the Panther is just barely turned away by the bazookas, and also the air fire coming in. We do have a bit of an engagement on the left. We have a Jagdpanzer 4 and a Panther trying to move in. Looks like, I don't know, a T-30... No, okay, sorry, never mind. Su-85 went down, so that's 1-for-1 with the Jagdpanzer. However, did one of those T-34s go down as well? No, the T-34 that was here managed to survive, so the whole squadron is still ready and willing to go into battle at any time. So the VP situation is still favoring the Germans. 2-6 to 8-6. No, sorry, 2-3 to 8-6. And despite this, though, like the Allies are clearly on the rise, and the Axis are sort of kind of left to guerrilla actions, where they just kind of send in a squad after another to really annoy the Allies, do some harassment, capture a point or two while they're not looking, and then get the hell out of there. Of course, you know, this will work only for the foreseeable future, but it's not a long-term strategy. So we'll see if the Axis can really come back into this and really settle down onto one of these VPs, which is what they need to do. Oh boy, 2 T-34-85s separated from the whole group are now trying to move in, and yeah, this Raken River can stop them quite easily. There's also 2 Panthers in the area. The Panthers are coming in. They're going to try to single out these T-34-85s and destroy them, which might be a bad thing because there's more T-34s in the background. Here comes the ram on one of the Panthers. That is going to be a crew shock. Of course, if they can focus the firepower on the Panther that is stunned right now, that would be great. But no, they decide to do the opposite and charge into the other not the other T-34, the other Panther, to kill it while the other one was stunned. It's not really working out as more Panthers join the fray. In the meantime, the T-34s are trying to move in and destroy the first Panther, but they're not able to do so because they've been bouncing and missing a lot of shells. That is a problem, and now they are completely enveloped. They have been totally kesseled, and now they are gonna die. So 3 T-34s are going to go down. Yep, without even a single Panther being destroyed in exchange. T-34-76 goes down as well. Here comes a PTAB strike, which will not take out the Panther that was the most damaged. In the meantime, however, the right side is erupting in another battle, and it seems like the Allies are coming out on top of this. We have a couple of Su-85s trying to destroy these Panthers, along with the support of the you know, American infantry. They're doing quite well. However, Vet Free Panther is still alive by a sliver and is able to escape. KV-8 is brewed up by 75mm shells, and now we have the IS-2 trying to move into the center to destroy this, the Schwer Panzer quarters. Smoke Run tries to keep it covered, but of course it knew where it was. In the meantime, Pack 43 was destroyed by something, most likely just the priest. So there was nothing to stop the S2 heavy tank. So that's pretty good. However, the four T-34s have been destroyed in that engagement, which allows the Axis to recapture the left. And the losses that the Allies sustained were pretty heavy in the last few engagements. Damn, nasty fragmentation bombing on some mortars, plus the light artillery barrage. That was perhaps a little bit overzealous. Bit of an overkill. These conscripts still doing their thing. So the situation all of a sudden is actually quite a bit better for the Axis than it used to be, but we'll see. We'll see. What the Allies need to do at this point is just kind of regroup, retake the left side, and make sure that they do not fuck up this time. So what... interesting. So what Ruben Gray is doing now is he's switching up from T-34-85s to Su-85s. And this, in my opinion, is bad overall, but I can see the reasoning behind it, because he's like, oh crap, so I used my T-34-85s way too aggressively, and then I got them killed, right? So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to switch to Su-85s, and they're going to synergize with the IS-2. The IS-2 kind of acts as a shield, and the Su-85s pick off everything else that tries to come in. But unfortunately, in my opinion, this is a bad move unless the Germans make a lot of mistakes, because this kind of takes away the initiative that he had with the T-34-85s. With the T-34-85s, he could push on the enemy. And his allies do not really have a lot of medium tanks, but they do have a lot of tank destroyers. So it's not like he was earlier on kind of missing on the heavy firepower that could support the S2. But again, that is reliant on... Like, that's a judgment that's reliant on the Germans not making big mistakes and not walking into the guns, into the waiting guns of these Su-85s. And at this point, it's kind of looking like Mr. Rimu or M. Rimu is getting ready to do just that. And oh no, that's bad. Oh no, he should have just backed off. Vet 4 Panther taking a lot of damage, and now he's basically traffic jammed and sandwiched between the Panther and the Su-85s. Between the frying pan and the fire. The second Panther is taking fire, almost dead. In fact, it is dead. One Su-85 goes down. Here comes a flank from another Panther, but he moves in way too close to some Pinols and eats an anti-tank satchel. In the meantime, we have the Jackson trying to push in and finishing off the Panther, but he does not finish it off after all. Still though, that was a nastily bad move from the Nazis, who have just handed back the initiative to the Allies by losing most of their Panthers. You have free howitzers from Papaya, which are actually destroying all the buildings. That's, I guess, a good decision. Oh boy. Oh no. That might be a bad idea. And yet again, the Nazis our last samurai into, you know, the waiting guns of the Su-85s. I was just taking in the spectacle, but yet again, they decide to do this. Only now they bring in the fragmentation bombing. Look at this, had they just waited 5 more seconds, they could have pushed in when the enemies were, you know, stunned, and then they would have at least gotten a few kills, I would say. Maybe they still would have lost the engagement, but it would have been a much better try, and it would have been very spectacular to see, but unfortunately, that was very mistimed, and the last samurai did not pay off in the end. Here comes a nasty amount of anti-tank grenades. Still, though, the Axis still have one... oh, P-tabs! That was well done. The Axis still have kind of one ace possibly up their sleeve. That is to say, the Axis, you know, they could just VP the Allies to death, because the Allies are down to 86. But without that much infantry left, and without that many, you know, pushing units left, it's not going to be enough. There goes another Panther. And yeah, it seems like all the Panthers are just going to be sent back to the zoo. They're not really having the best of days. Big, big howitzers. Okay, so they take the center once again, but with only 4 Panthers left and a few infantry squads, and just getting artilleried constantly by the Allies. And with the Allies having, you know, the force that they have, I don't see this working. And yet again, the Panthers last samuraiing into a well-prepared, well, maybe not well-prepared, but definitely a decently prepared defensive position with tank destroyers and infantry and all the likes. So, yeah, I would say, you know, just a little bit too much last samuraiing from these Panthers. Definitely went down. And yeah, I'm gonna call this for the Allies, I think. So I'm just gonna speed it up. You know, once again, these Panthers can't really do too much anymore because there's not enough of them. Although, again, the one thing that the Allies can still fall to is the VP situation. Oh boy. Oh no, that's a trap. That's an obvious, it's a trap. It's a trap. Run away. Yeah, look at this. It's going pretty well. Nice attempt by Emrimu, but he's got... Aww, he's got 1,600 manpower. Serum Balas has 1,600 manpower. Kim Jong-un has 1,800 manpower. Ah, well, wouldn't have changed that much here because of T-34 76s, but, you know, if they had a little bit more infantry, they could have tried to take both of these VPs at once, I would say, but... Ah, well, now in the center, yeah, there's the... You know, IS-2, not much can defeat it. We do have a Königstiger finally, but I mean, the Königstiger is really easy to deal with, the P-tabs. And also, he's eating 152mm to the face. And once again, he moves straight into the line of sight of all the waiting tank destroyers. Just a turkey shoot. And there we go. With the support of the Il-2 Sturmovix, the engineers can finally move in and take the point. And here comes the surrender of the North Koreans. So yeah, last samurai, a little bit too much. I want to thank you all for watching. That was a great replay, so thank you to Galleon Squad for sending it in. And yeah, I hope I'll see you soon. Have a good day.